For those of you who are really interested in retention, but maybe have concerns about how to practice it in a sexual relationship, here is a life-changing method that you can try, which does not involve releasing your seed. This method is called the Karezza method, which has, along with everything else that I'm going to be sharing in this video, come from this gem of a book called Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, written by Mania Robinson. This Karezza method, which by the way is spelt Karezza but is pronounced Karezza, is defined in this book as relaxed, gentle intercourse without orgasm that soothes sexual frustration and creates a relaxed state of union. This method is different to regular sex in that it's very slow, it's very gentle, and actually leaves you feeling refreshed and relaxed having been with your partner rather than drained or depleted. It's not as intense as conventional sex, but in my eyes, it's a lot more meditative and a lot more spiritual. It's a way of being with someone that doesn't create those feelings of lack afterwards. And so if we take this method and we put it into the context of semen retention, we can see that it's an absolute game changer because it facilitates your practice of retention, but it also gives you a way to meet your sexual needs. And credit to Gold Jacket Luke, an awesome dude who actually got me onto this book, has also pointed out in the past how effective this is. And he's completely correct. In fact, I don't know if many people will appreciate just how much of a game changer reading this book is. For example, I would describe what I've personally gone through as an entire paradigm shift, right? The exact thing that I was looking for, where my perception of what sex is was permanently changed and shifted. And so to be honest, only read this book if you have the courage to, because it really wakes you up. It really makes you reflect on just how easy and how tempting it is to have sex quickly, unconsciously, or for your own personal pleasure. Whereas doing Karezza, it's a whole other game, it's a whole other reality. It's learning that sex can be highly rewarding and actually spiritually nourishing if you're being more wise and you're treating it more like you would say retention. Because treating it with more consciousness enables you to maintain your sexual energy and sexual desire in service of raising your consciousness, becoming actually less lustful and becoming more in charge of your lower self. Because most people, they do actually want to become more spiritual, but they are addicted to their lower sexual tendencies, which keeps them trapped in animal ways of thinking and being. This is a deep reason why nofap, retention, and ultimately practicing Karezza is so important, because they all clear the way for spiritual growth. And they all make developing yourself easier because it is you who is in the driving seat, not your lower lustful self. What Mania also does in this book so well is she shines a light on the truth about orgasm and how it is not just a release of your seed, rather it's what she defines as a complex sequence of neurochemical hormonal events. And to put this more simply, with orgasm, a lot more is going on than you think. Mania shares how it is actually a highly stimulating event, one which can cause undesirable symptoms of irritability, cravings for more orgasm, fuzzy thinking, emotional neediness, overreactions, and fatigue. And if you've ever witnessed these kind of symptoms in your own life, but have struggled to describe them or articulate the ways in which they affect yourself, your life, and your relationship, this book enlightens you with both the neuroscience and the spirituality to help you understand what's really going on. And it's so satisfying to have this knowledge that matches your intuition and confirms it, especially from both a scientific perspective and a spiritual perspective. Because on this path, you will want to find and then cross-reference different knowledge sources which help you understand that your dissatisfaction or suffering that comes as a result of sexual indulgence is a scientific and spiritual reality. Lust and orgasm will always have an effect on you, and to become more informed and more mature about this will be massively growing you as a person. You might also be curious about what Karezza would actually do. How would it look in your relationship? Well, some of the things that Mania shared from her own personal experience were the following. She noted that her and her partner experienced greater sensitivity, more willingness, more flirty energy, and more lively interactions. As well as this, Mania said, and I quote, "There is a very welcome, light-hearted playfulness in our relationship, which allows us to laugh about and resolve most sources of friction effortlessly." What you should also know about this Karezza method is that it doesn't require you to hold back or suppress an orgasm. And this is good because it's inherently more conscious than a stop-start kind of approach or any method where you're really kind of trying too hard. Rather, Karezza is a completely effortless activity. Karezza is also good because it does not demand you to put on some impressive sexual performance. Rather, Mania talks about how this method is centered around bonding-based intimacy. And if you're not sure what that is, it's all about easing sexual tension through deep relaxation and lots of soothing affection. And this links to maybe my favorite personal aspect of it, which is how this method is all about relaxation. For example, Karezza activates the body's relaxation response more so than conventional orgasmic sex does, and how the ultimate goal of Karezza is to remain in relaxation mode, but also to fall into what she calls this heightened state of dynamic stillness. And what this is it's like a flow or a flow state, something which, artists and athletes would report feeling when they're very much in their element. And so just imagine for a second feeling in flow, but doing so with your partner whilst having sex. And really ask, what could be better than that? A really seriously present experience whilst being intimate and feeling intense love. In fact, this particular benefit, it should be kind of clicking for you, especially because of the principle of present moment immersion, which is the more present you are doing anything at all, the better and deeper that thing will be. And so really consider how being utterly present and in flow with your partner would be just the best thing possible for your intimacy and for your relationship. So this Karezza method, yes, it's a very mature way of approaching sex, and perhaps it's not even right for you in this particular moment, but maybe it will be in a year or in 2 years or in 3, 4 or 5. It doesn't really matter when. Just keep yourself open to this as a possibility. Remember, wisdom is seeing that you are at a particular stage of development and how not everything will be appropriate for you right now. But certain things, they might become more relevant for you a little bit later down the line. So if Karezza isn't quite right for you now, that's cool. Check back in a year, check back in 5 years. Just know that to keep an open mind is the wisest thing that you can do. The final thing that I want to leave you with is that for most people, conventional sex is satisfying enough, and that Karezza would be considered an advanced practice. This is because most people are either not conscious or not ready to look and see how sexual satiation or exhausting themselves sexually is going to be affecting their mood, energy, perception, and overall quality of life and consciousness. So appreciate that if you're able to do this already, you're not an ordinary person. You're likely a little bit more conscious or a little bit more open or developed. And that's not better or worse per se. It's just a sign that you're a little bit closer to some of the more advanced work. So this book and this method is perfect for you if you are ready to kind of take the plunge and to become conscious of how orgasm is a lot more significant than you think. It is for you if you're ready to extend your retention practice from something personal to something in a relationship. It is for you if you've got to the point where you're really sensing that there must be a better way to have sex that still means that you can meet your sexual needs, but that doesn't mean that you have to expend all of your life force and energy. So even if you're single, take on this knowledge and integrate the theory for your next relationship. Otherwise, keep retaining, keep growing, keep doing your best on this path. And as always, if you enjoyed this one and you would like more, then my friend, please do subscribe.